That's great.
I agree.
Really?
I agree.
Well, I know where she can get a good job. She'd have to bring some sort of teachers with her and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like her mom and dad.
Yeah.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the second half of this Led Zeppelin focused special weekend. Yesterday, we listened to Tangerine together, and today we are listening to Good Times, Bad Times. So, as usual, I have a few paragraphs to read, and then we'll dive into the listening fun together. Good Times, Bad Times is a song featured as the opening track on Zeppelin's 1969 debut album, Led Zeppelin. Oh, so kind of the debut album, the opening track. This is kind of the introduction to the world of Led Zeppelin, right?
This is what the world first heard when Led Zeppelin came out.
Okay, so I suppose they'd done some live concerts before, been a band before, but as far as the launching of an album, this is it. It was also Led Zeppelin's first single released in the US, where it reached the Billboard Hot 100 chart. The main riff of Good Times, Bad Times was written by John Paul Jones on a Hammond organ, who later said it was the most difficult riff he ever wrote. Interesting. As well as one of the hardest riffs for him to perform. Okay, now I'm curious. Guitarist Jimmy Page played a Fender Telecaster that Jeff Beck had given him through a tone bender and a Supro amplifier. Page's guitar solo was fed through a Leslie speaker to create a swirling effect. Singer Robert Plant's vocals were largely double-tracked. Drummer John Bonham plays fast triplets on a single bass drum, which drew praise from Jimi Hendrix. So, got some interesting things going on here to listen for, listen to, and see what else we discover along the way.
Now, Amy, again, the opening song, the first notes, the first sound of Led Zeppelin that the whole world ever listened to. This is it.
Good times, bad times.
Please, pay attention to the opening. I don't want to spoil it, but I cannot help myself. Pay attention. This is the first sound that the world heard.
Okay, I will. Maybe I'll even play it several times over. We'll see. No promises. Let's see how it goes.
Took a couple of days before she was rid of me. She swore that she would be all mine and love me till the end. But when I whispered in her ear, I lost another friend. Oh, good times, bad times, you know I've had my share. When my woman left home for a brown man, but I still don't seem to care.
guess I just did what I did yesterday, didn't I? I didn't stop it at all. I want to go back, actually, in just a moment or two and listen to it again, maybe pause a few times. But what a really attention-grabbing piece of music. I guess my first impression is that each of the instruments is so balanced in the use of each one that even when it's the whole ensemble, I wouldn't say that each one is competing for attention. It's not a competition, but it's like each one is so interesting on its own that I can't choose which one to pay attention to. And I found myself captivated by the bass, by the guitar, by the organ, by the drums, to the point that the voice was simply another one of the many instruments in the band. Not that the voice wasn't interesting, not that the song itself that was being sung wasn't interesting, but it's like everything stood on an equal footing in this piece. And that was a lot of fun, but more than that, I found it incredibly engaging to listen to, simply because, well, I guess I could say it's kind of like a really complex contrapuntal piece. Like, let's say a fugue or something, a 4 or 5 part fugue where you have multiple voices, and it's really complex, and each voice is equally as important. Well, you often hear those things played on a single instrument. So it takes a bit of attention and focus to figure out, okay, which voice is where and who's doing what, how's it going together. Here, each instrument is its own voice and has its own part to play. It's not a fugue. It's different than that, but it's the same sort of feeling of equality among the instruments. And there was this little bit in there that was showing up sometimes. Dee 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 dee. I wanted to continue it. Dee 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 dee. Dee 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 dee. You might recognize that. But let's go back and listen, because I'm also, yes, the riff is kind of cool, actually. I was thinking, wow, I wonder if I could make this work on the harp. It would be kind of tricky, but I'm tempted to try it. I'd have to sit down and work it out, so I won't do it right now. But if I manage to succeed and make it actually work on the harp, who knows, maybe I'll just throw up a quick little video sometime in the future saying, ha, I did it. Anyway, let's listen to this from the beginning again. And I want to pause at certain points where things caught my attention and explore it a bit. So this is kind of cool because it's da-da, pum, pum. And you start counting. You start feeling as if it's being counted in. And you expect the same thing over again. But he's buried it. Kind of cool. Maybe I should use this as an example of beat subdivision for my students and say, look, this is how you really need to be feeling each beat. And here's how it develops. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and a 3, and a 4, and it's like it's all right there, and it's almost like he said, let's just take a simple technical exercise and make it the most ear-catching moment opening a piece of music. Let's see, what can I think of an example in classical music that does something like that? Well, there are several examples. The one that comes to mind is actually not terribly catchy. It's more parody. And that is right in the middle of Camille Saint-Saëns' Carnival of the Animals, which is all about animals. We have the elephant, we have the swan, we have the aquarium, we have all these different creatures. Right in the middle of it, we have something called the pianist. The pianist is placed dead center in the middle of this carnival of the animals. And you get the feeling that the pianist is being mocked as yet another animal. It's not the pianist who's, playing the music for the carnival. Not at all. The pianist is doing the dullest, most uninteresting, and horrendously executed technical exercises, scales. In fact, Saint-Saëns even wrote in mistakes for the pianist to play so that it sounds dreadful. It sounds like a non-musician practicing. Anyway, that's what comes to mind right now. As I said, it's an entirely different use of it. It's parody in that. Whereas here it is, oh my goodness, we are listening to something really amazing. But the similarity between the two is that they're both based on really elementary technical exercises, and they're both incredibly memorable. If you hear this, you'll never forget the intro. If you hear the pianist, you'll never forget it. So this is what stands out to me here is it is truly something that's, well, actually, I guess I just recently listened to Smoke on the Water and that famous riff. And we had this whole discussion during the premiere when we were talking about how every guitarist wants to learn this. Every guitarist back in the day, that was the first thing they tried to learn to play. And most of them messed it up because it's really quite complex. But this here actually is something that every drummer should learn to play. One of the first things they should learn to play. So it's kind of a great application. And, well, believe it or not, you can play along with Good Times, Bad Times. Okay.
Listen to the teacher.
Okay, this is so cool here. It's like suddenly the drums have gone crazy and they are dancing. It's almost like we have multiple pairs of feet dancing here and here and here and here. I can picture it in my mind. It's so dynamic. And then the guitar and the bass, yeah, the bass is dancing too, isn't it? And so the bass and the drums both doing their dance on their own instruments. It gets to be this, it starts to feel like it's a whole room full dancing. I guess this is the wrist.
No matter how I try, find my way to the same old jam.
Okay, and by this point, we've heard it repeated enough times. We can start to unravel and parse out the different parts and instruments. And for the first time, we remember, oh yeah, there's somebody singing here, and it's part of the whole mix. But who on earth is paying attention to the lyrics in this song? I mean, you've seen me along this journey. You've seen me give a lot of attention to many of the lyrics because I do. I have this kind of view that if somebody is going to bother to write lyrics and set them to music, there's a good reason they're written, and it's an important part of the music. I guess this is one of the few pieces I've listened to where it's almost like the lyrics are feeling like, would I even notice them? Pay attention to them the first 3, 4, 5 listens. I guess I would discover them sometime down the road, except that I have them written here in front of me. So that's helpful to me as I'm trying to take all of this in. But to me, it's so musically dynamic that it's as if all of it that's happening in the music itself is really far more, I won't just say attention grabbing, but it's almost like that is the piece of music. You could have any random lyrics thrown in there, and as long as they fit the meter, it would work. Nobody would care, really. But they chose to put these lyrics with it. There must be a reason. We'll give attention to that in a little bit. But I just wanted to point out how incredibly engaging this particular ensemble is. Even here. Nice little moment for the bass. Yeah, so much. Every little bit is interesting. Nice little moment where the bass just shines on its own. That kind of chorus, good times, bad times, I've had my share. That's the first moment where we start to think, actually we could sing along with that, and we feel like joining in. I guess that's the moment where the lyrics actually raise their head and say, oh, by the way, I'm here, and please do pay attention to me because I am actually important. I need to compare something. I'm going to go back to where the voice first enters. I thought so. So at the beginning, in the days of my youth, you hear the pitch and the range of the voice. It's a bit higher pitched. Now, as this bass walks us down, this next section vocally is placed lower. So again, it's woven into the range in which the instruments are active. And this is a da 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 bum. I'm sure somebody had that in their head, stuck in their ear somewhere.
She swore that she would be all mine and love me till the end. But when I whispered in her ear, I lost another friend. Good times, bad times, I've had my share. When my woman left home for a brown man, but I still don't seem to care.
You hear the bass climbing up there from underneath. And you hear the drums active there as, again, this time, the good times, bad times are pulling us up out of that kind of lid on the pot passage. Da-da-da-da, good times, bad times, and as if we're coming up from somewhere down here. Down here. Good times, bad times, had my share. Stepping up a little bit. Teasing us a little bit, isn't it? It's as if we thought, we're coming back to this da 2, 3, 4, da 2. But no, he just says, here we go. I've had my share. When my woman left home for a brown-eyed man, but I still don't seem to care. first time around. But that first section before the chorus there, the guitar was really climbing upwards, moving upwards. And then we sang good times, bad. And now, yeah, da, 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 going the opposite direction, back down. Finally up here with the voice again. Nice back and forth between the guitar and voice. What a lot of fun. And as I said, really engaging. I guess I understand why the band felt the need, or whomever it was who made the decision felt the need to double track Robert Plant's vocals, because otherwise he'd have been completely lost in all of this excitement. Even though they're double tracked, this is so interesting to me, because I've listened to several Led Zeppelin pieces now, and Robert Plant's voice is very distinctive, and he holds center stage very well. It's so interesting to me to hear this piece of music in which it feels like he is not in the spotlight. He's not disappearing. But as I said, it feels like every single other instrument is absolutely on an equal footing with the voice. Well, you put so many instruments around the voice, each one equally holding its own, and the voice becomes just one of many. So then, although Robert Plant's singing is fabulous here, it's great, it's exciting, and I enjoyed it. At the same time, it is just one part of all the rest sitting at the same table. And that is interesting to hear to me, and to see that, okay, Led Zeppelin was able to kind of create this very, very equal dynamic among each instrument and the singer. And nobody felt the need to step up and hold a center stage. It's really quite a challenge to write a piece of music, to create a piece of music which works well that way. Because usually with a piece of artwork, whether it's visual art or whether it's a piece of music, there is something that serves as the anchor, as the kind of focal point of the work. Think of how many works of art, you look at them and you realize it's drawing your eye towards one activity or one point in the painting, in the picture. Same with music. And very often, when there's a voice involved, it's the voice that is that central figure around which everything else moves and which supports it. And even if the voice stops for a while, still, when the voice returns, we are paying attention to the voice as the primary musical element that requires our attention. And very often we tend to let everything else kind of fade off in the background, and we might not even notice what's happening in the bass or what's happening in the drums for a good portion of it. Here, it's different. And I guess I'm impressed by the fact that it works so incredibly well. It doesn't feel unfocused. It doesn't feel like it misses something in the middle. Instead, it is a perfectly fair, equal, round table around which everybody sits. And we have this dynamic conversation where everybody is contributing actively, happily, and energetically. It's a lot of fun. Well, now that I've talked about how equal everything is, and how, in a way, unimportant the lyrics are, I feel like I want to give a little attention to them, actually, because they do bring something to the table, and it is very important in the entire scheme of things. I noticed, especially on my second listen, you heard where I noticed that it was descending down lower, and there was this sort of lid on the pot period. Then we had the solo, followed by the chorus, good times, bad times, the rest of the solo, if we could call it that, and then coming back down into the same geography, the same topography, melody-wise, as we had at the opening. I feel like it was a bit of a journey. And Robert Plant's voice, I was told, in the days of my youth, I was told what it means to be a man. We hear that as a sort of higher pitch. Then that goes on, the middle is lower, and then we get to the end, we come back up from the ending of the crazy guitar business, and again, I've had my share. When my woman left home for a brown-eyed man, but I still don't seem to care. I know what it means to be alone. Again, he's in that same range, and he's in that same part of his voice. And so it's kind of like two mountains, we could say, with some valleys in between. The form of it is incredibly well balanced. One of the things I've noticed about a lot of the Led Zeppelin pieces of music is that they are very formally balanced, even though, sometimes they can be a bit long, sometimes a bit unusual, a long guitar introduction or something like that. Here, not so much at all. In fact, the introduction was drums, but it handles these lyrics well. So we start high, sort of a declaration, then we fall down into the low part of things, the bad times perhaps, and then we come back up out of it, and we end in the same sort of declarative, confident announcement, good times, bad times, so is my life, but I don't care what the neighbors say, I'm going to love you each and every day. Again, it's a great way of setting this message and these lyrics. And if it were just that, if that were the center of the stage, it would be good. It would. It's perfectly balanced. As I said, each part stands on its own 2 feet. Each part has equally important part to play, is equally active in this. And so that's one of the things that makes it feel so incredibly energetic and exciting to listen to. And then at the end with the fade out, very often we hear fade outs in this style of music, but here, isn't it interesting that the fade out includes the lyrics, includes the voice. Again, it's not the voice being framed by the instruments, it's the voice actively participating in the continuation of the piece. And isn't it appropriate that as the lyrics are progressing, I don't care what the neighbors say, I'm going to love you each and every day. You can feel the beat within my heart. Realize, sweet babe, we ain't ever gonna part. And that is what fades out, and we don't really feel like it's ended. In other words, it's the good times and the bad times, but this love continues forever, and my devotion continues forever. And that is, that's the way it ends. And it's a very nice, fitting ending. So that's the first thing everybody heard when they picked up a Led Zeppelin album and put it on the turntable. Everything from counting in with the drums. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. To the highs and the lows and all the activity and that incredible riff. The quotation from Bach, and then finishing with this sentiment of this continues forever. Really a great piece, I have to say.
This is when the Beatles era was coming to an end.
Right. What was this? 79?
69.
Sorry, 69. Yes, 69.
And the Beatles parted in 70.
Okay, yeah.
So it's just as the Beatles
Just
era
a little
was,
overlap, right.
Here
Okay.
comes Led Zeppelin with this.
Okay. Well, filling in the timeline a bit more, aren't we? That was a lot of fun. I have truly enjoyed this special weekend focus on Led Zeppelin. I'm sure there will be another one coming at some point in the future. And I'll see you soon.